Exactly. At least not yet. Yeah, it's not muggy yet. We'll see what happens with the humidity going forward. But it's a beautiful time to just sit down, relax, and enjoy the show.
And have your cold Cafe Cubano, right?
Yes, you do your café con leche con hielo, with
There you
ice, as I always say.
All right. Quiet on the set.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today y Mañana. I'm Alex.
And
this
I'm
is
Michael.
Michael. We're very excited to have you joining us this morning on a beautiful and sunny morning here in Charlottesville, Virginia. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing good, Alex. How about you?
I'm doing well, doing well. Michael is here subbing for the affable Xavier Erpy. We decided to do a little bit of an upgrade to do today.
He slept in today, couldn't get up, so I was...
No, the poor man is on a business trip.
He is.
We don't want to imply he's slacking off.
Yeah, he's slacking off.
He is certainly
He
not.
needed a beauty
but,
sleep.
Exactly, and we said, while we're at it, why not test out a younger version or two
Let's not go that far.
here on the show.
It's really good.
Absolutely. So it's a beautiful morning here in Charlottesville. Enjoy your time to enjoy your café con leche. Sit down, get ready for the show. We have a couple fantastic guests lined up for us this morning. We're going to be joined shortly by Brent Stubblefield of Join or Die Knives, followed by Carolyn Herbert of Herbert's Wine Jelly. So some definite entrepreneurs. As always, love being here on the I Love Seville Network set. We are presented by Emergent Financial Services, and we are powered by Credit Sirius Insurance, by the Gym Seville, by our friends at Aqua Seville Hand Car Wash, by Castle Hill Cidery, by GBS Financial Services, Johan Torres, and by Ford Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville, Virginia.
That's a mouthful.
I know, it's definitely that, but we have a lot of partners that we love
Exactly,
working
that's
with
great.
here
That's
at Today Mañana. It's constantly growing, to be
That's
sure.
disappointing, yeah.
The number of partners just as our audience. So really appreciate everyone joining us this morning. Be sure to send us any comments, questions, like or share the show this morning. Got a lot to cover. I don't know about you, I'm ready to jump right in.
Yeah, well, it's join or die knives, so we'll either join or die. So
There we
let's
go. So we might as well join. So we are excited to welcome to the show this morning Brent Stubblefield. He is the owner of Join or Die Knives. Brent, thanks for joining us this
thank
morning.
You for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No, it's fantastic to have you on. We're excited because we've seen some of the fantastic pictures that you have on the website. So we're definitely excited for that. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how, for those who don't know you, how you started Join or Die Knives.
All right, thanks. Thanks for having me. And I just drove down from Richmond, and I've lived in Richmond for over 10 years. Married a Virginia woman, so ended up in Virginia, as is pretty normal. But I started Join or Die Knives as a hobby. I was a contractor. I was just looking for something creative to do in the shop, and I found that making knives combines so many different things. We got metalwork, woodwork, leather. There's as much science or art as you want to put into it. And so I was able to bring together a lot of my interests. And then, like many hobbyists, I did it more and more. People started to ask for them, started to become a little side hustle. And then as I had to expand that a bit and found other knife makers in the area, we were able to kind of create a larger shop, a community shop where more than one knife brand was able to be made. And then it started to expand, brought on some people, started in production, knives, custom, classes, and just diversifying as much as possible. It's an esoteric, it's a different kind of thing to be into. So there's no roadmap that's quite the same as some of the other careers. So we've had to find many different ways to kind of bring in income and expand awareness of the brand.
That's fantastic. So what are some of the different knives that people can find on the website or when they come into the shop?
Well, we do everything from truly custom design knives with a customer. We do reproduction swords, and our oyster knives are very popular. A lot of small production, kind of everyday carry stuff. So really everything that you can think of through larger production items. And when I say larger production for us, that might be at 100 or 200 at a time. We do the commemorative knives for the Department of Wildlife Resources for the state of Virginia.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then all the way down through one-offs, like for instance, a reproduction sword or specialty Damascus cutlery or some of the more artsy stuff.
And so when you say specialty Damascus, I'm not have a large knowledge of like knives and stuff. So what does that mean specifically at Damascus?
Yeah, I'll try to bring this down because I could take up the whole hour talking about knives.
Well, that's fine. We would love that.
But essentially, there was an old style of making knives that would take, let's see, I have to make this as quick as possible, but the ore and the raw materials, and they had to fold that steel to make a better steel to stand up to the wear. But now we have good steel to start with, but we use different alloys together to create patterns in the steel, evocative of those early types of blades, but now we're using them to make art in the blade, which is actually all the way through the steel, not just on the surface, but shows as really beautiful patterns in the steel. So it is a higher level of craftsmanship, but it is a lot more of a traditional technique for the sake of doing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and people, for those who are watching online rather than listening, you can see some pictures of it. It's got this beautiful, ornate craftsmanship to it, so it goes all the way through the steel, which is really neat.
Yeah, that is very cool.
Yeah, we have an audience question for you. Do you get a lot of demand for the oyster knives from restaurants or mostly individuals?
Mostly individuals. In fact, all my cutlery, because we make them by hand, we can't offer them at the lower prices that the production companies can. And truthfully, restaurants are really hard on stuff, and they bust them up, but also really good cooks a lot of times probably aren't paid as much as they ought to be. I feel like that, go somewhere amazing, so I have these conversations with cooks all the time, and so we try to do stuff that we can get in the hands of pros. But honestly, it's a lot of times people that are really into cooking as a side job that have a little bit of a higher income. So for the custom knives and even the oyster knives, they tend to be a little bit higher price point. So the home cooks and the backyard oyster grill out people really like them a lot. But we do have some pros that use them.
That's fantastic. So what's kind of I'm curious, what's the process of sort of thinking through, all right, here's a knife that I want to offer or create and produce on a larger scale. So what's sort of the entrepreneurship mentality that goes through that?
I look at that really simply. I make all kinds of different knives. I try different styles, and I put them on the table for sale. And if that one sells, I make another one. And if that one sells, I make another one. And ultimately, I've got different models, like my Fieldmate model, like the oyster knife, that I really have as a production model just because it turned out to be popular. I didn't try to engineer or force these models. They just are the ones that I got good feedback on. And then, of course, over time, making a bunch of them and having to create a different process for production than the process for a one-off knife. I've able to kind of streamline the process, but also streamline the designs to make them work best for me on the production side and the best for customers as well.
Makes sense. That's fantastic.
So, and you've brought a couple of knives today. Is it all right if you can go through them and tell me and Alex what they are? And
yeah, I was unable to grab some of the more fancy specialty knives, but I've just got a couple of our ones that we do for production, and I don't know what the best way to lay them out is.
Yeah, just hold them up a little bit to like there you go.
So we got our Fieldmate, which is an everyday carry. It's engineered with the 2.5-inch cutting edge to be legal to conceal carry. So if you had it somewhere, like there's some different knife laws, but this one is the kind of thing that hunters like it, even though it's a little smaller, but it's actually just good for your opening boxes, tape and twine if you want. A fixed blade that is an alternative to a lot of the folders and stuff like that. And then our Bird and Trout is a little bit of a hybrid, almost like a fillet knife, but it's a little bit more stout. These were both offered different years with the Virginia Wildlife collectible knives. And so we're working on next year's, which will probably be more of a Skinner wider blade design. So we're trying to create sort of a toolkit for the outdoors.
A collection of Virginia Wildlife ones.
And then one that I'm just really excited about lately is a tiny chef knife. This is a miniature. So I actually had a production error. I sent the wrong file to the laser service that cuts my knives out, and they sent me this tiny thing. And it was supposed to be a big chef knife. And I thought I wasted the metal, but I went ahead and finished it out. I took it home to my wife. I said, hey, use this around the kitchen. A couple days later, she comes back. It's my favorite knife in the kitchen. Not only is it cute, but it's just a good paring knife. It works for small things. And if you put that on a cheese board or a charcuterie board,
to be honest, I wouldn't be able to tell you, like, oh, that's not a cheese knife. I would be like, oh yeah, that's a fancy knife for a cheese board.
So we're going to be offering this for the holiday season. I think it's going to be really cool. We can either have a little neck knife sheath where it can be a pendant, or like a little block where it can be an stand. But so that would be an accident that's going to end up being like a pretty interesting. I think we're going to do pretty well with it because it's just so darn cute.
It is,
and it's actually kind of even cuter when you think about it. It looks like a miniature chef's knife. Like it looks like it's intentionally to be like, oh look, it's a miniature chef's knife, the ones that you kind of use like to cut up vegetables.
Absolutely.
I even downsized the logo so it is a miniature.
So it fits. Imagine. So it's amazing. I mean, so many, just when you were describing the process, like, because I mean, so many entrepreneurs we have on the show, it's not always an accident that turns out to be beneficial, but sort of that process of figuring out you're in this to produce knives, right? And then when people say this one really fits the niche we're looking for, you just keep making more and more. You sort of you test the product, you see, all right, here's what the feedback is, and then you go from there. And it's just, I love that process of entrepreneurship of saying, here's, filling that need, that niche that people are really looking to have in their home.
It is, and actually, on the other end of that, actually omitting the right things is important too. So oyster knives, for instance, I've got a design that I made that's a little bit unique, and I get asked for other styles of oyster knives. And I just have to usually say, there's a lot of oyster knives out there. I could produce many styles, I suppose, but I don't want to muddy the waters here. I want to just have what I offer. And so I offer that style specifically. So we have to think about that. I like to offer a lot of different styles in different types of knives, but I have to be careful not to just have way too much.
Yeah, to overextend. It's also sometimes entrepreneurs knowing when to say no to an idea.
Say no to a customer. It's so difficult, but sometimes you have to stick with your game plan. It's hard if you adjust to every kind of demand like a customer wants. Before you know, you'll be making 100 different knives. Yeah.
Absolutely. Just a couple comments. Nicholas Ruby, thanks for watching the show. He says, honestly, that knife, I think he means the mini chef knife, would be awesome for storing fruit and storing pork. I think he means coring fruit. Sorry, coring fruit and storing pork belly fat. I guess we know where his mind is.
He now has a good present to get for his wife now.
There we go. You can core fruit and store some pork belly for him. And Kevin Higgins asks, speaking of other ideas, have you considered like custom torch screws and things, like given so many wineries in the area?
That would be interesting. I'm kind of been looking at a cigar cutter, and we've been looking at some of these other things. So they're all possibilities, but we have a limited amount of bandwidth, and it's like, as a business owner, I think about how many people am I going to have on, what can I do, what are the orders, and so it seems like the more busy I am, the more people I can have helping me, the more I guess bandwidth I have to like R&D new products. But like in the summer, we're a pretty seasonal business right now, and so we kind of contract a little bit, and so there's a little bit less time for that. Then when you have the people helping, you're in your busy time, and you're really just working to make sure that your customers are happy. Yeah. We have wholesale orders too of those larger amounts, so we have to get that done. But during that same time, I'm working on maybe a custom Damascus chef knife, or maybe like a commemorative, piece for somebody. So.
Absolutely, no. It's that ebb and flow of entrepreneurship, which is really neat.
So I have a quick question. So how long would you say it takes you to make one of these like knives that you have like right here?
Probably one of the most common questions, and the question that I just still don't know how to answer. It's just not that easy because essentially our process is broken up over multiple days. The heat treating of the steel takes a few different hours at different times. We have glue times, and we have all these different things. And especially when we have a larger amount of knives, we do a bunch of handles, and then we do a bunch of pins. That. But we can kind of pare these down to under an hour. And then, but what's interesting is the cost, of course, is always going to be the labor is the highest, but a lot of people don't realize they're thinking of steel. And the steel is a lot more expensive than a normal kind of steel that you might buy at Home Depot, but the handle material is much more expensive. This is a piece of Virginia maple. It's a maple burl. It's a rare part of, how the maple tree grows. And then we have to have it dyed and stabilized so that the resin goes all the way through the material. So it's a long process to make it almost like plasticized so it won't swell and sink in water. So we have all these really specialty processes. The costs are kind of like a totally different structure than you might expect when looking at a knife. But we have, I've got some larger projects that I've got 40 hours in one blade, and I've got stuff that I can kind of knock out in half an hour. So it really runs the gamut.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's true, because I think people sometimes that you think of special knives, you forget like when you go and buy your typical Bed Bath and Beyond knife.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a plastic handle. It's like there's so much that goes into this and the quality of what's in the
Well,
knife.
you could tell the minute you look at it, the handle, really kind of, besides obviously the knife itself, the handle really kind of stands out.
Stands
as
out.
unique.
I feel that.
Wow.
I bet you can feel the difference too.
Oh, yeah. And the
Absolutely.
craftsmanship, too.
Absolutely. So I'm curious too. I know you also offer some classes for people who may be interested in learning about the process or seeing how you work.
Yeah, the classes were something we just thought we would try to offer something started about 4 years ago, just bring a few people in, try to get them introductory, and they really started just really grown. And unfortunately, we never have enough class spaces and time for the people that want to do them. So if you're interested in a class and you see something up, you're going to want to book that when you see it because they go pretty fast. Now, we do offer gift certificates that can just be redeemed later. So you can go ahead and buy that now. You'll get a code, and then the recipient can use the code to book the class, when they come up. By far the biggest is during the holiday season, people are buying those as experience gifts. And then people, so the most classes that we do with the most frequency are in the new year, January, February, and March, because we're really filling all those. But we do a forged knife class and an intro class, and we just really like to share what we do. We make these classes where if somebody was a hobbyist knife maker, they're going to get something out of the class. You're going to learn about even all the way down to the atomic level what's happening in the steel when you heat treat, onto the crystals, the grains, and how those things work. But also, if you just want to come and do it the one time, you're going to have a good time, and you'll end up with a finished knife with a sheath. So we try to make that for everyone, and really it's just about every other weekend we have them, and that's at our shop near downtown in Richmond.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that
sounds
yeah.
really neat, I have to say. That sounds like an exciting class to take.
It's a lot of fun. I'll just say, about halfway through the class, maybe the end of the first day, you see a lot of people looking at their workpiece and just thinking, I'm not going to make it here. And then by the end, when it really comes out, the look on people's face and just how proud of themselves of what they've made. Because so many people, including myself, looked at knives as something that can only be made like in a factory or by someone who's apprenticed for a long time. And of course, it does take a long time to get good at making knives, but for someone to come in and do that, so a lot of the people that take our classes have never even really used tools before. And to bring them through that process and have it to where they made that themselves, I feel like it's really empowering. And we've had people that have started their own knife brands off of our classes, and we've also had other people who've gone on to just pick up other hobbies that only ever really, worked with intellectual property before, and then they started to pick up hobbies with their hands.
This is really neat. I just think they kind of built that confidence and said, hey, if I can do this, if I can learn how to make a knife, I can then go and do something else that involves sort of the dexterity and working with a physical item.
That's right.
That is really neat. I like that. Shout out to Neil Williamson. Thanks for watching the show this morning. Bill McChesney, thanks for watching the show this morning. Definitely got a lot of viewers this morning. So last question I have for you. So for those who want to check out the website or want to sign up for a class or want to go visit you, what are the different places that people can find you?
Yeah, well, we're active on Facebook and Instagram with Join or Die Knives, and then the website, joinordieknives.com. And we have an email list, so we keep everybody updated on class schedules, new offerings on the email list, which you can just punch that in on the website. and we're down on Valley Road, 1600 Valley Road in Richmond. It's just an old warehouse, but we've got kind of a bunch of different creative people all subleasing in this big warehouse together. So it's a really interesting place to stop by. So you can go online and book an appointment with us and come on in whenever, and you'll just be walking right into our blacksmith shop.
Oh, that's neat.
And we'll have you in there and show you around.
That's fantastic.
That is.
That's fantastic. Brent, thanks so much for joining us this
thank
morning.
you so
It's been
much for
absolute
coming on.
pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, of course. Looking forward to stopping by one of these days.
Yeah,
when we go to
definitely,
Richmond.
definitely.
Thanks so much for joining us. From one great entrepreneur to another.
Yeah.
Always exciting just to
Yeah.
see what people can do with their talents and
the
their
passion
hands.
that people have for what they do is always exciting and wonderful to see. And let's be honest, I mean, we're pretty big fantasy people, so knives is just one step away from a sword. Kind of.
Exactly. From the knife to the sword is
Exactly.
is very close.
I know. That would be my problem. I think I'd probably go there and make it, I say, oh, look what I do. And then the next day, I'm going to try to make a sword.
Should I make the sword instead?
Okay, just got to make it look a little bigger, right? Just a little
Just
bigger.
a little bit. Well, the reverse process, instead of going from knife to mini knife, you go from knife to oversized knife. Oh, that's fantastic. So from one day entrepreneur to another, we're really excited to welcome to the show this morning Carolyn Herbert. She's the owner of Herbert's Wine Jelly. Carolyn, thanks so much for
Yes,
joining us
thank
this
you.
morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, of course, it's our pleasure. So, I mean, for those who aren't familiar with you, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started Herbert's Wine Jelly.
Okay, well, first of all, I started as a teacher in special education. It feels like about 120 years ago because so much has changed. But during that time, I worked with a lot of kids that had emotional difficulties. And so when I retired, it was almost like a natural thing for me to go into taking care of people a little bit older. So as I retired from, I was an assistant director of special ed, and I found that a lot of our kids were, ended up on the street, ended up suicide, murdered, incarcerated, whatever. And it really bothered me because they were really decent people. They just had mental health issues.
Yeah.
And we don't address them the way we need to.
No,
We've
definitely not.
started talking a little bit, but we don't really address it. So from there, I went to looking for people that were incarcerated that had had mental health issues before, and found that the majority of them needed something totally different. They didn't need prison. They needed something different. So I thought, well, they had trouble before. They're certainly going to have trouble after they get out of finding a job and reassimilating into society. So I was able to connect with a few through some connections that I had with attorneys and such. And I offered them an opportunity to come up with a product. And we would make it. I had a chef on the outside. And so we started connecting with some folks. And we ended up with, I ended up with 4 people from the inside who created different products. Now, remember, they couldn't taste it, they couldn't try it, they couldn't do anything. So this was all their imagination.
Wow.
So we started with wine jelly. It was something I was doing a little bit of because my mother, we moved to Charlottesville to help take care of her, and she liked wine. We had 72 wineries within 1 hour of our house. So needless to say, it was great. She wanted wine for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but she would put this much water in it and just this much wine because she loved the flavor but not the feeling. So I started making wine jelly for her. But when we decided that we needed to turn it into making it for sale, it's illegal to sell the way just making wine and jelly.
Oh, interesting.
You have to follow all of the food rules for the level of alcohol, which means 0.
Oh, of course, once there's
Because
a little
it
bit of
has to be-
alcohol, that's regulated.
Exactly, exactly. So in order to sell it, we came up with a process. It's a 3-day process, multi-step process, that removes the alcohol, but people think it cooks out. Less than 10% of the alcohol cooks out.
Oh,
So
we
if
actually
you
could
were to cook it to where the alcohol isn't there, you have muck.
Yeah, because plus you have probably no more
You
flavor
have
at that
nothing,
point. Yeah.
you have no wine flavor, you don't have any of that. So with our process, we worked with ABC, we worked with Department of Agriculture, Department of Health, and came up with a process to where our jellies are made with wine, have the wine's flavor. We've put the fruit flavors of the wine back in it, and you get the wine flavor on the back end.
Interesting.
Okay, so with all of that, we are really unique when it comes to a wine jelly. First of all, we're legal. That's a good thing.
That's a good start,
And if
right?
I'm working with guys that have been in prison, I think it's a good thing to stay legal.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, I don't want to tip that
But
in
you
any
don't want
way.
you don't want the poor guys to end up back in prison
Exactly.
for
Because
selling
I
wine
put them
jelly.
there, yeah.
Exactly. Congratulations, you got out, but you made wine jelly. Bad jelly.
So the fun part is being in this area, it's fun to have something different like wine jellies. It makes it an adventure almost. So I can only imagine thinking of these guys sitting around what you can imagine as a prison cell or whatever, saying, oh, what would go good with this? What would go good with that? You know, so some of our flavors end up being, one of our best-selling is black cherry Cabernet Franc.
Ooh, that sounds
Okay,
good.
so black cherry Cabernet Franc is just what it says. You taste the black cherry up front. It's a nice, rich flavor. And then as you're swallowing, you know that it's a wine.
You did that to sort
Okay,
of.
so it's that after
Yes.
effect of the wine. Okay, and we're not just here to play with wine jelly. I mean, not everybody knows what to do with it. So our guys, and some of our other products, but our guys came up with the cookbook.
So the
Okay.
things you can do with
So
wine
we
jelly.
have 44 pages of ideas and recipes of what to do. What would I do with that black cherry Cabernet Franc? I'd put it on a hamburger. Okay? I would put it on, anything that more beef related.
Yeah, it sounds like something that would go
You
well
know.
with that. You're
But we also have a beer jelly. And, I love the stout with sausage.
that's
So,
always a classic.
there is a wide range. It adds just enough sweetness and just enough of that other flavor that if I'm someone that doesn't like cooking, but I hate having the same thing every day or every week,
Put a little something.
put a little orange pineapple Chardonnay on your chicken in the oven or on the grill, and now you
That's
have a
something totally
glaze.
new.
And what was that? That isn't anything at all. We have our Pear Pinot Grigio is an amazing salad dressing. If you put it in the microwave for just a couple minutes, well, not even a minute, that was crazy. You'd be boiling. But to put it back to the liquid and pour it over your salad
Oh, it's a vinaigrette.
as a vinaigrette. So you've got that, or the strawberry daiquiri, or a margarita. We have 14 jelly flavors.
Wow.
So you have plenty of variety.
We have plenty of variety. When the guys come home and are able to taste their products for the first time, I had been setting aside the profits while they were on the inside, so they also came home to an envelope. So they were able to start a life. They're not allowed to make money while they're in, but there's not a law against me saving it for them
Exactly.
and giving it to them, as part of an entrance to the business to come on in. So they have a job. They had, $400, $500, $600. It certainly improves that one-use toothbrush that they got once a month.
Yeah.
That thing along the way, that they then have a way to start, they have a job, and they have
So
hope.
that's awesome. So when they come out, they work now directly
They now
with the
work with
company?
me.
That's fantastic.
So they have a job. And we hire them because I think that there's some other things that are really valuable in having a job. And that is, first of all, you need to feel good about what you're doing. You have to feel good about what you're doing. You have to know how to balance your budget. You're on the inside.
Yep.
Everything's...
No, as personal finance.
Yeah,
that's
the whole
exactly
personal
what we
finance piece.
promote.
So with that said, I pay monthly because it's when rent is due, and they need to pay rent before they pay for anything else. Other things you can squeeze around, but
But
you
yep, rent, and then we always want it on the first of the month.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Also, they all have a title. I may only have one person that does the packaging and distributing, so they are the manager. Well, they may only manage themselves, but they're
It
still
makes you-
managing.
Exactly.
Okay, so they still have the responsibilities of managing the things that that part is responsible for. And they give me monthly reports, they do whatever a manager would typically do, and maintain what's going
Exactly.
on.
When
They
you-
also have that on the resume
And I
now.
love that you're teaching those leadership skills so that when the time comes when they are managing other people, they've now learned, okay, this is the type of report that would be expected of me. This is
Right.
the things that I'll need to know. Yes, I'm starting with myself, but this is things I'll need to know, and then extend when I go into a leadership
Exactly,
role.
a stepping
manage-
stone, a nice stepping stone for when they go out back outside to the
Or if
world.
they, if they decide to start their own
Exactly.
small
Exactly,
business.
or actually, the plan is that they will be given this business.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I'm not, I'm not a nonprofit because of the paperwork involved from transferring it from me to them.
Yes.
If, I started as believing I was going to be a nonprofit, but I can't just transfer it to them easily.
Nonprofit to profit is challenging. There's
Yes.
a lot of, and I think sometimes there's a sort of a stigma of, if you're for profit, you must not really care. And it's like, well, no, a lot of things can be constructed. A lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses start as, no, I want to provide this.
Correct.
It's just, it's a good way to provide it in a for-profit entity rather than a nonprofit entity.
Exactly, and that is our thing. Now, my husband is positive it's a nonprofit because I've never profited from it. I don't have the
That
first
other
penny that has come
definition,
out
yeah.
of it, but that's
The
a little
second
bit
definition
different.
of
It's a little bit
nonprofit.
different. But it's a good feeling to know that these guys now are paying taxes, contributing to society. I've set them up with a financial advisor. They now have a simple IRAs. They have all of the
Fantastic.
things that you need to feel good about your lot in life. And the resume says you were a manager. That doesn't look bad either.
Nope, not at all. Not
Yeah.
at all.
So I've had state police that have come to me and said, "Can this guy work for you for a little bit? I know he has another job lined up, but he has to have a resume."
And this way it helps out.
You
Absolutely.
know, it doesn't hurt. It helps.
No, not at all.
So I'm open to a variety of things. So some of our other products, we used to offer a dip that was also a seasoning, and now we offer a seasoning that's now a dip, also a dip. Because,
So wait, this started as a seasoning, and now you also make a dip with
well,
it?
actually it started as a dip.
Oh, it started as a dip.
And like
Okay.
a package dip. And people started saying, hey, I bought that. It really sounded great. I put it in my cabinet in the pantry and I didn't think of it again because it wasn't on the shelf. So we now moved it to a seasoning/dip instead of a dip/seasoning. And, like who doesn't love bacon?
No, I mean,
You take some of this, you make your baked potato,
oh yes.
put a little bit of this on it, soak it in some melted butter, pour
Oh.
that on your baked potato, and you're ready to go.
You know, yeah. Oh,
That's something that you just can't.
that's speaking to my heart right
Yeah,
there.
there you
baked
go.
Potato.
For the holidays, we're looking at putting our products in unique jars and
Oh,
such.
and
and
nice,
selling
and
them.
That's a nice
reusable too.
Exactly. But this is some of our bourbon infused pepper.
Wow.
And when you're thinking about grilling or just a steak that you want to add just a little bit of extra flavor to, it doesn't hurt it at all.
Oh,
It can only help. But we also
only
have wine-infused salts and beer-infused salts. We don't leave anybody out.
absolutely. Yeah,
You know.
anything you need but one, I like that it's like they're things that you don't necessarily have to just consume on their own. You can combine them.
Right.
Like they become part of the cooking process.
Part of your daily meals,
yeah,
actually.
that
Exactly.
you can then
Reality.
create many different things with.
And
Exactly.
one of our logos or taglines is enhancing meals every day. Because we're not about just that specialty meal. But if you're going to a party and you're supposed to take something and you throw a little bit of extra wine salt on it, it changes that flavor just enough. Or if you're a mom and the kids won't eat a vegetable, put a little bit of orange pineapple Chardonnay on it on your green beans.
And if you got new
And
flavor
I've got
there.
a grandson that would eat them all day long. That's just honest.
That would be wonderful. Imagine going to a party now, and so you could just throw in some of these like wine-infused salts or this
Yeah.
bourbon pepper, and everyone would say, "Wow, how long?" It's like, "Oh, it took me a very long time
Exactly,
to cook that.
exactly.
Oh, to marinate it and all this other stuff. Wow, you're a great cook." It's like-
Exactly. I mean, it's for the person that doesn't have time. It's for the person who wants to be very fancy and take all day long to cook. It's for anyone, as long as you have those ideas. So
Exactly.
all of the, every time we sell something, it comes with a suggested use card. So you have some ideas initially. And, of course, the cookbook is also downloadable. So it gives them the opportunity to, have the sky the limit.
That's fantastic. You got a couple of people watching today. We got Johnny Ornelas, thanks for watching the show this morning. Quentin Bettram, thanks for watching the show. We have a comment, Jess Walter Sifitsari from Painted Orange. We had her on, says she shouldn't watch the whole show. She's so excited to listen in for your interview because you're the very best.
Oh, thank you, Jess. Jess is amazing.
Yep, she was on our show.
I watched it, yeah.
Yes, I think a couple
Couple
weeks
weeks
ago. A couple weeks ago with Painted Orange, another local entrepreneur.
Right.
So that
right.
that is awesome. So I'm curious, what's it like? Because you went from a space of teaching to being an entrepreneur in a sense. Now in a different kind of way, because you're creating something, you're helping people find employment. You're selling. What's it kind of like taking that? What's it kind of like taking that step and all the other things that go into this business that are like beyond just making the jelly?
That's really interesting because it truly is a little bit crazy. But I had the very fortune early on to meet a couple of people or have people walk into my life that made the difference. I met a cousin I hadn't known who took one look at my original jars and as a graphic designer knew I needed help. He was living in Boston and he now moved here.
Wow.
So, shout out to Jim for moving here and taking care of all of my jars and, our peanut butters and, he's done everything. He does our banners. He does all of the digital piece. He put the cookbook itself together,
The designers.
and
Awesome.
one of our other guys did a good bit of the artwork. We have the pictures themselves. We also have some that are, designed a bit too. So one of our graphic employees did those, and Jim took it, put it all together. So he's an amazing graphic designer and has helped us tremendously, and love having a cousin nearby.
That's neat,
So
absolutely.
all of those things are win-wins. But I had a friend that was an accountant, or is an accountant, retired, but helped me set up my books for the first time. I had people that just kind of walked in and said, "Hey, I like what you're doing. Let me help." I had an attorney that did that and said, "Let me get you started." So I was ready to, go when it started. So at first, I knew the guys. They started coming up with some products, and then most of them didn't come home until COVID. I'd promised them a job, so of course at COVID we are now hiring people and not selling anything. So that was kind of tough.
That's trying to be a challenging time.
I refused to give up on my guys and girls, so we held tight. And looking forward to hopefully expanding some. We would love to expand. Our markets tend to be along the line of wineries because I do private labels.
Yeah.
We love to do weddings as wedding gifts, especially
it's
the
like
little
the
party
little
favors.
party favors.
That would,
Yes.
that would actually be perfect.
Yeah. We do them in the 3-ounce jars so they can go on a plane. So
Yep.
that's not a problem. We do the jelly. We've done salts as wedding gifts, the wine-infused salts. We can do it, as private labels, we can do it from, if they're having their wedding at a vineyard.
You'll do it.
I use their wines, which are the best kinds of things that we're doing. But we also have stores across the country, little ones, little tiny ones. I mean, it sounds great. We're in a whole lot of stores, but they.
It's the best time, local stores.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a local
They're
business
all-
and you're in
they're
local
all
stores
lo-
just nationwide.
Exactly. We don't have like real big contracts at all, but we have a lot of little places that enjoy doing that. We have a wine specialist in Texas, and we did a tasting show with him, and we matched his wines with my jellies and did the food with the jellies, so that was fun.
That does sound like fun.
That was a one-off, but it was fun. And hopefully we're looking to do another one at Christmas. But we like to do as many shows as we can. Guys aren't great at getting out, and I'm a little older, so the heat gets to me a little bit more than other people. So I don't do outside summer shows very well.
Exactly. Yeah. No, the summer is a challenging time. It certainly drags on you.
It can be intense.
But I love the idea. What you mentioned, and I've heard this in different forms from other entrepreneurs that have come on the show, is sort of that team that kind of forms around you when you take that first step of, because it's not, even as an entrepreneur, you can't do it all yourself. You can't be instantly an expert in jelly making, but also accounting and graphic design and all these things. But that team forms of people that are committed to you, that they're committed to the idea that you have. And they say, yeah, I'll help you with this. I'll help do this.
Right.
I'll lend my expertise to this. And before you know it, you've got that sort of strong team that helps the business to grow and thrive and persevere through challenging times.
Yeah, and it's everyone I have to lean on, and they lean on me, I hope. It is a mutual kind of thing. We're hoping that these people are, they get out, they have the opportunity to be real productive and know that their time was not wasted because they did come up with ideas and they were able to see that to fruition.
Help build confidence in themselves too as well.
So you may know that, I kind of like to help people a little bit. Well, I didn't feel like I was helping enough people. And so with that said, the guys that were on the inside had given me an idea because there were a lot of artists inside. So the artists on the inside came up with an idea of having a way to sell their products. So they named it Beyond the Fence. Part of our outreach is we will take an original and make prints out of it, make note cards out of them, etc. And then we're able to sell those, and 100% of that goes to the family. Because again, they can't make the money. But it's even if it's a little bit, the fact that they've sent money home rather than asking for money to be inside
it's a big deal.
Is a big deal. So we have reached out. We're reaching out to additional artists at this point, and then once they come home, they can continue to do that. But it provides them a platform to sell some of their artwork. We have those that cross stitch, those that do pencil, those that do the charcoal, those that do. We had a leather crafter. So, we'll do whatever they send us. We'll either do pictures or we'll sell the products itself. So it's another way to just get the word out that all people need to feel success.
Absolutely. And giving them that confidence to go out and be successful. Absolutely. Audience question for you here. Are you at any of the markets locally, Crozet, downtown, Barrett's?
Okay, market-wise, I am like a farmer's market. I don't because I can't be out in the sun and the heat that much. My guys don't always want to show their faces because, there are plenty of
still
people.
Transitioning.
Right, and my family is very active in all of it, but, some people don't want to say, hey, I'm one of those convicts. So it creates a different dynamic for us. But we're online. We are in the Crozet Art Depot. We are in Fluvanna. Well, I think we're in almost every store that sells anything in Fluvanna. Working on getting into a store or two here in Charlottesville, and hoping to expand. That's our
Well, hopefully this can help.
I know. I hope so. I hope so.
So that next time you come on and I ask, where do people find you? You'll be like, right here in Charlotte.
On our website, you can find all of the stores that we're in, actually across the country. So whoever is listening, can have that from anywhere. But we do ship. We
But
drop
that is
ship
my
from
yeah,
house.
that is my question. What's the best way for people to sort of find these products? Where can they go online and then get them shipped?
Our website is herbertswinejelly.com.
Very easy.
That's who we are. And we have actually two sites. We have a retail site for anybody who wants to buy, and most of the gifts or whatever, but typically you're going to buy 3 jars at a time because shipping for one is the same as shipping for 3.
Yeah.
And, I don't think anybody really wants to pay $10 plus the cost of the item
Yeah, absolutely.
to ship a
One
jar.
item, yep.
So we'll do, mostly in sets. And then we also have a wholesale site on there. So if there is a business that's interested, they can join the wholesale site to see how we sell it, typically, in packages of 6, because a lot of small stores don't want 12
they don't
of
want
the
too
same
many,
thing.
yeah.
They want, a smaller number so they can have more flavors or whatever. But we are definitely, excited about some of the things that we're doing. We always take our products and do something a little different. Our cocoa, we enhanced it from what we had before, and our cocoa is now also a wonderful summer frappe. So you can
Yep.
put it in the blender
nice.
with ice, and it's just as great as that hot chocolate is in the winter.
Absolutely, yeah. It feels a lot cooler in the
Yeah.
summer. Feels nice in the summer.
A little more appealing, I
Yep,
think.
Yeah.
exactly.
So it's all about having fun with what we're doing.
That's fantastic. Carolyn, thanks so much for,
Yeah,
for
thank you
joining
so
us
much
this
for
morning. It's been
Carolyn.
an
Sharing
absolute
your story,
pleasure.
yes.
It's a great story, and really encourage people to check out herbertswinejelly.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. Ah, so fantastic.
Yeah,
to just,
that was-
the passion of different entrepreneurs that come on the show. It's just,
That was really great to hear, and just the story too behind Herbert's Wine Jelly was really fantastic, and how many people it's helping and giving people hope.
absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, two fantastic businesses we would definitely encourage people to check out. You joinerdyeknives.com, herbertswinejelly.com, and you can definitely check them out. You can find them. They've been highlighted on our Facebook pages. You can find them and so forth. So just
We'll
click-
definitely be putting up links on our
Yep, there'll be
website.
links on the site, links on todaymanana.com, so you can definitely click and go poof right there.
Yeah.
Right there. Got a couple one news item really before we close it out for today and tell you what's up next week. There is the Minority Business Alliance of the Chamber of Commerce having the gala for the Minority Business Alliance is going to be on Friday, September 9th. Still tickets available for that. But at the gala, there is an award, the John F. Bell Senior Vanguard Award, which we take nominations for every year. So if you know an individual who's had like high business and personal integrity, is located within sort of the Charlottesville regional area. I mean, so obviously, want to be kind of local, makes a significant contribution in business diversity, understands the importance of community service, is civically engaged, mentors up-and-coming entrepreneurs. You can definitely send in the nomination to the Charlottesville Minority Business Alliance. Basically, you'll just go to sevillechamber.com/MBA. Right there, you click the link. Nominations accepted July 11th up until August 5th. So basically, the nomination period is open already. It's an online form. You just fill it out, who you're nominating, why you're nominating them. So just a fantastic opportunity there to just, if you know someone who's made serious contribution to just minority businesses, to business diversity here in Charlottesville, send in that nomination, because I know the Minority Business Alliance would love to honor them.
I feel like there would be a lot of nominees because there's such diversity here in
Exactly.
Charlottesville.
It's just
you
a
know, and a lot of
fantastic-
great people who help other people. So I feel like it'll
There
be.
should be. People
Yeah.
should take the time to make sure we did a lot of
Exactly,
nominees for
yeah.
that. And Nicholas Serby wants us to just mention Seville Opera, who came on our show a few months ago, hosting Saturday, July 16th, Broadway at Belfield concert. So there's going to be some Broadway favorites performed by the Ader Emerging Artists, accompanied by Emily Baltzer and hosted by the tenor Richard Troxel at 7:30 p.m. So you can just check out
When was that
Seville
again?
Opera. 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, July 16th.
Ooh.
So this is a couple days. This
Yeah,
Saturday.
this Saturday,
This
I was about to
Saturday,
say,
you can check out Broadway at
Wow,
Belfield. I
Broadway.
would check out Seville Opera. They've been on our show. So you can go watch our interview with Seville Opera and then click the link to their website to learn more about this Saturday show.
that should be pretty popular, I would think. Some sort of Broadway musicals, right?
Absolutely, yeah, some classics,
Yeah.
some called sort of Broadway favorites.
Broadway favorites.
So there you go. Be sure to check that out. That's our arts announcement for today. And then next week we got some more fantastic entrepreneurs coming on. We're going to have Erica Mitchell from Sweet Art Emporium, as well as Joshua, a little more on the nonprofit side, Joshua Raimundo from the strategic director of the Libre Institute of Virginia, which does some Latino advocacy work. So we're going to talk to him in the educational field, I believe. So we're going to have some nonprofit work individuals, got some great entrepreneurs, just loving today and all the things. Mike, enjoy the show today?
Oh yeah, I think it was a great show today.
And I had a lot of
think
fun.
we had two very interesting people, amazing craftsmanship with Join and Knife Dives, and then just Carolyn with the amazing work she's doing with the Herbert's wine jelly, and I mean, they look absolutely delicious, I'm not gonna lie.
The knives look awesome and the jelly
Yeah.
looks good.
I would want to say you could spread the jelly with the knives, but I'm not sure that's exactly.
Well, hey, you could probably spread it with the little, the mini.
Yeah, I'm not
chef
sure
knife.
Brent was exactly envisioning his knives
Probably
spreading out
not,
wine
but
jelly,
you never know. You can cut the cheese with the
There
knife
we go.
and
We
then
can
put some
cut the
jelly
cheese,
on
then
it.
put the jelly. Exactly.
There we go. Cut the cheese and put the jelly on it. So combine the two of them. Thanks so much for being on the
thank you
show
for
with
having
me
me.
today. Really,
It was a lot of
I
fun.
appreciate it. It gives me some just a new style.
Exactly.
A new
A
look.
little more youthful when he's a
Poor Xavier. He's probably the most exuberant co-host you could imagine, and here we are
I know.
questioning.
It's just fun to knock him when he's not.
It is. So what can we do? We're his sons. We
Yeah.
like to rib him. This way, when he goes back and watches the recording of the show, he'll be like, I did.
Well, that'll be the test. If he complains, then we know he watched the show. If he
There we
doesn't
go.
say anything, then
That's how we know if he watched. Exactly. So thanks so much for everyone who tuned in today.
Exactly.
Jess Fitzari, thanks for tuning in. Just all our good friends of the show, Johnny O'Neill, Amita the Programa, Neil Williamson, Bill McChesney, Nicholas Irby was definitely
Thank you
watched this
to
morning.
Nicholas for always finding these wonderful guests and
Absolutely,
bringing
he
them
does a
on.
great job behind the
Yeah.
scenes. Really getting some fantastic.
Because if it wasn't for him, it would have been just you and me talking for about an hour, and I'm not sure how.
Which nobody
entertaining-
wants.
Yeah.
Nobody really wants that one, do they? Just you and I chatting. Quentin Bettram, thanks for watching the show this morning. Always appreciate Judah Whittaker behind
Yep,
the camera,
thank you, Judah.
making everything work well. Always appreciate being here in the I Love Seville Network set and being presented by Emergent Financial Services and powered by the Jim Seville, by our friends at Midell and Chit from Credit Serious Insurance, by Opera Seville, Hand Car Wash, Castle Hill Cidery, GBS Financial Services, and Forward Adelante. Just always appreciate the audience tuning in, asking us questions. Be sure to send us any questions you have for our entrepreneurs. Any entrepreneurs you suggest would be great on the show. Never any cost to come on. We just love featuring all the great small business owners that are making amazing things happen here in the Central Virginia area.
Yep.
To be sure. So thanks so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing all of you next week. But until that time, as we always say, hasta mañana.